Anuradhapura was the first kingdom established in Sri Lanka. It was then a unitary state. However, there were principalities in several parts of the island at different times. Magama and Khatragama were two similar kingdoms. The major problem confronted here is that of collecting historical information in this regard. The Mahavamsa records information on Khatragama just as an anecdote. According to the Mahavamsa, it was Prince Rohana who established a state or a principality of Rohana. Another story from the same source states it was Prince Mahanaga who established Rohana as an independent state. This information is further confirmed by inscriptions of his in which he refers to himself as a sub-king or Yuvaraja Mahanaga. The contemporary king who reigned at Anuradhapura was his older brother, Devanampiyathissa. The Mahavamsa further states that the sapling of the Sri Mahabodhi brought to Sri Lanka during the reign of King Devanampiyathissa was planted in Anuradhapura in the presence of the members of the royal family who arrived from Chandanagama and Kataragama. They may have participated at this ceremony at the invitation of the king. And this also proves that although these two were independent principalities, they had a close relationship with the royals in Anuradhapura. The existence of Chandanagama is controversial. However, Khatragama is undoubtedly identified as the present Khatragama. Several inscriptions have been found in Ruhuna inscribed in the Brahmi script belonging to the pre-Christian era, with the recorded information on the royals of Khatragama. A symbol of a sketched fish found in this inscription is considered to be the royal symbol of that dynasty. Among these, the Kottadamu Hela Vihara inscription includes a list of names of the members of the royal family belonging to 5 generations of this dynasty. No conclusion can be made as to the permanent location of the residence of the Khatragama royals. Nevertheless, one sapling of the 8 from the Sri Mahabodhi was planted at Khatragama by one member of that dynasty. Based on all these factors, it could be concluded that there was a royal dynasty and that an independent state existed at Khatragama without direct links to Anuradhapura and Magama.
Kataragama කියලා කිව්වහම අපි පිළිගන්න හැටියට ඉතා පැරණි ඓතිහාසික
I believe that Khatragam is an ancient historic village, perhaps a town where one of the groups of early settlers in Sri Lanka established themselves. Water was their basic need, and that was provided by Kappakandara Nadi or the present Manikanga. Kataragama later came to be known as a difficult village to the new settlers. Some others believe that the Aryans who arrived at Kataragama belonged to a royal clan. The village or the town they lived was therefore called Shastriya Grama or the royal village, which took its modern form, Kataragama, and finally Kataragama.
ඒ වගේම බොහොම දුෂ්කර ග්‍රාමයේ වශයෙන් කතරගම කියලා කිව්වන් පස්සේ දුෂ්කර ග්‍රාමයේ වශයෙන් හඳුන්වනවා. සමහරුන්ගේ සඳහන කියන්නේ ආර්ය ආපු අය ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම ශාස්ත්‍රීය පිරිසක්. කතරගමේ පදිංචි වූ පිරිස ශාස්ත්‍රීය පිරිසක්. ඒ ශාස්ත්‍රීය පිරිසේගේ ගම වශයෙන් කත්තිය ගාම වශයෙන් ඒ විදිහට සඳහන් වුණා, ඒ විදිහට පෙරළුණා, ඒ විදිහට සකස් වුණා මේ කතරගම කියන ගාමය.
The oldest settlers selected lands to suit their livelihoods. Here their main vocation was in agriculture. The first settlement so established was associated with Malvatu Oya, and they called it Anuradhagama, the present Anuradhapura. Simultaneously, 2 other settlements were established in the southeast of the island by the side of the Kirindi Oya called Magama, presently Tissamaharama. The other was along the valley of the Kappakandara Nadi, or the present Manikganga. And these settlements were set up by the 700 people who are supposed to have arrived with Vijaya. The Sinhalese kingdom shifted toward the southwest in the 13th century due to numerous historical, economic and geographical reasons. The details as to why Khatragama kingdom declined is not known at this time. The independent state of Khatragama in the past has been a sacred place. It was declared a sacred city by the Sri Lankan government, where it was understood that it does not belong to any one religion or any one community, but is considered a sacred city by many religions. Sri Lankans believe that god Khatragama is the guardian deity of the city of Khatragama. He is also referred to as Skanda Kumara and Karthikaya in Vedic literature and is so referred to by Sri Lankan Hindus. According to folklore, it was King Dutugamanu who constructed a shrine for god Khatragama. He made a vow in front of the Ashtapalaruha Bodhi at Khatragama that he would build a shrine if he won the war against the Cholas who were holding Anuradhapura. He made his vow a reality after his victory by building a shrine adjacent to the Kataragama Bodhi. However, the present Kataragama Devalaya is no older than 5 centuries and consists of subsequent renovations done during this period. The architectural pattern reflects that the inner chamber is the oldest part of the shrine. Its length, breadth and height is equally 7 feet, and the thickness of a wall more than 2 feet. The section encircling the inner shrine is commonly called Vatapilla and constructed at a later stage. The section with a large number of pillars is even a more modern addition. The area of the Mahadevalaya or the Great Shrine covers 1/4 of an acre, and the boundary parapet wall is about 10 feet high. Within this area, the Kirivihare, the shrine of god Gana, the place for the dashing of coconuts, the kitchen and several other small shrines or devalayas, and the Ashtapalaruha Bodhi and a small Bodhi referred to as Kadavara Bodhi are located. There are 4 gateways to enter the devalaya from the 4 cardinal points. As one enters from the main doorway, one can first see the pandalama or the bundles of branches of trees. This has been prepared in the shape of ceiling. Legend says that this was the first made by King Dutugamanu. As a tradition, these leaves are bound afresh and replaced annually, removing the dried leaves. And this is usually done 5 days after the commencement of the Asala Perahera. One could enter the Mahadevalaya through the Kolapandalama, which is divided into 2 sections, called Gabada or chambers. Devotees can enter only the outer chamber, which is a considerably large hall. The beautifully carved brass finished doorway, the 2 large doors fixed to it, and the unusually large key and the lock remind us of a massive palace. The moonstone at the doorstep is a modern creation, but however, it resembles the national tradition. Apart from this main doorway, there are two other small doorways as well. The outer chamber resembles features of the ancient Hindu and Tamil architecture with rows of wooden pillars and capitals. Legend says that the inner walls were painted with murals relating to god Khatragama and Valyama. However, no traces of these are to be seen now. At the entrance to the inner chamber, there is a place covered with two walls. It is called the Vatarama, or the circular way. This section is reserved for the Alatti Ammas to perform their rites and services. A carved balustrade is fixed at the entrance to the inner chamber. This entrance is covered with a large curtain with paintings of god Khatragama. This prevents devotees from seeing a person who enters it. Only those attendants who perform Teva could enter the inner chamber. The pot of sandalwood water is kept at this entrance for the attendants to wash their feet. And this place is called Sandun Mandapa. Beyond the Sandun Mandapa is the Lata Mandapa. Between these two mandapas there is a passage, and its ceiling is decorated with a canopy. The large brass lamps are lit continuously for the rite of Alatti Puja. A couple of elephants' tusks are kept here, and they are believed to be those of Kadol Atta, the tusker of King Dutugamunu. During the Asala Perhara season, the chanting of Pirith is organized on this platform. Nothing may be explained here about this inner chamber, and it is considered a place where the god's secrets reside, and so we refrain from disclosing anything in this regard out of respect. The roof of this shrine is covered with copper plates.
දුටුගැමුණු මහරජතුමා විසින් රුහුණු මහා කතරගම දේවාලය කරවලා 555 දෙනෙක් නිලපංගු ප්‍රවේණි පංගු කියලා පත් කළා.
The legend has it, when King Dutugamunu erected Ruhunu Kataragama Devalaya, offered lands and appointed 555 special classes of people for its maintenance. Among them, the chieftain was overseas. Removable and immovable property of the Devalaya was Mahabethme, who is presently functioning as Batsnayaka Nilame. He was assisted by Kudabethme, 12 Kapuralas, 6 for Tevava, and another 7 for performing rituals related to Perahara. Further 18 were appointed to Mandape, supported by 12 Alatti Ammas. The additional staff consisted of dancers, drummers, washers, and the like. The appointments of all these of the Devalaya were everlasting, passing down from one generation to the other.
රුහුණු මහා කතරගම දේවාලයේ කතරගම දෙවියන්ට ඉරහඳ පවතින අතුරු මේ රාජකාරී කරන්නේ.
The rites at the Kataragama Devalaya begin at dawn, with the blowing of the conch, ringing of bells, the beating of drums, the placing of water, and offerings of food or mulutan is said to resemble an age-old royal tradition. In the Khatragama Devalaya premises, on the left is a construction called Kirivihare, constructed according to Kandyan architecture. Tradition states that there was an ancient vihare in front of the historic Botri from very early times. However, we cannot conclude when and who constructed this vihare. From ancient times, there are a number of traditional rites that are to be performed by the Mahadevalaya to the Kirivihare before usual Deva Pujas began. That has continued over the ages even up to the present, including Buddha Puja and Shabda Puja. The offering of food is another rite which is performed at this Devalaya. The food offerings for the gods are prepared at the kitchen reserved for the god. The food is offered to the god 3 times a day. There are lands and paddy fields set apart for the performance of these rites in the Kataragama Devalaya. They provide the paddy and the rice to the Mahadevalaya annually. So do the service attendants, including the potter who supplies the clay pots and pans annually. A special pingo is ready to carry them to this shrine, and the pingo is made with a pole about 5 feet long wrapped in cloth, and at the 2 ends of the pole 2 baskets made of cloth called mandaya are carried. When it is filled with cooked food, the offerings are called mulutan adukkuwa. This is carried by the Kaporala who has been entrusted with performing this task, and this rite is not performed on Saturday mornings, as it is a day of Nanumura. Nanumura is a special ceremony that is not performed toward the gods but toward the Buddha. Water is necessary for the performance of this rite. It is brought by Alatti Ammas from Manikganga. This water is mixed with perfumes and brought by the Kaporala, who covers his own mouth with a piece of cloth, and it is conducted to the Bodhi amidst the beating of drums. And the Kaporala pours water on the Bodhi and bathes it. Hindus believe that the god would be pleased to see the devotees subjected to sufferings by different means. Carrying Kavadi is one of them. It is a special scene that could be seen at the Kataragama Devalaya. Kavadi Kudu is kept on one's shoulders and borne according to a set rhythm. Formerly, a South Indian musical instrument called molam was used for the Kavadi. The Kavadi rite is divided into 5 categories, namely Paravi, Bhakti, Gini, Kiri and Matsya. Out of these, only Paravi and Gini Kavadi are followed now. This is made according to a standard method by using one of the selected woods such as jack, corn, boar, white sandalwood or puangu. Its structure is made of 2 planks, 10 inches in breadth and 18 inches in height, with a 4-foot stand. Both sides of the planks are decorated with pictures of god Khatragama or Ganesha. The 4 corners are fixed with peacock feathers, 40 on each. Another special rite one may see at Khatragama is bathing in the Manikganga, dressed in fresh clothes, taking a coconut in both hands and pressing it to the forehead and rolling on the ground up to the Mahadevalaya. Then they walk around the Mahadevalaya in a rightwards direction. From ancient times, all activities at the Mahadevalaya were preceded by the performing of the Buddhist religious rites. Accordingly, Pirit Nilaya or the chanting of Pirit has been entrusted to the monks residing at Girivihara. It is the Lekama or the Mahadevalaya who invite the monks to chant Pirit at the Mahadevalaya. There are 3 celebrations at Khatragama annually: the Aurudu in April, Asala in July, and Il in November. These celebrations are organized according to ancient traditions. The Valli Amma Devalaya is associated with all of these celebrations. The devotees from India included Muslims, and they considered Khatragama a holy land and erected a mosque there as well. The arrival of Indian Muslims occurred particularly in the earlier days. It is believed that local Muslims started pilgrimages to Khatragama after 1873. The Kirivihara is not only a main place of worship associated with rituals of the Kataragama Devalaya, but also is one of the 16 places accorded the highest honor by Buddhists in Sri Lanka. Although it is known as Kirivihara, its real name is Magul Mahasaya. Who built it and when is not clear. However, according to this tradition, it was constructed in the 3rd century BC by a ruler named Mahanaga. Subsequently, during the past 2000 years, it has been subjected to a number of alterations. Excavations reveal that the old structure of this stupa was covered with the present-day structure. The older one is constructed with a mixture of lime and gravel. The walls are strengthened with a plaster of about 3 inches thickness. These remains are visible on the Pesavalalu quadrangle of the stupa and the inner wall. The flight of steps made to approach the Dagaba is strengthened with brick balustrades. At a second construction, another terrace has been built 19 feet below the former terrace. Some unusual railings made of bricks were found here during archaeological excavations. Thick lime plaster has been used in the construction of the upper wall as well. The outer terrace around the sandy terrace has been filled to about 18 inches in height as a result of subsequent reconstruction. The moonstone made of limestone and a guard chamber is to be seen on this lower terrace. The stupa, which is now in the shape of a bubble or bubulakara, had earlier been in the shape of a pot or gathakara in the former days. Some fragments of slabs with a sacred footprint and inscriptions have been found in recent excavations, and they too belong to the pre-Christian era. The stone slab unearthed at the Kirivihara terrace is 6 feet high, and the large letters inscribed on it are clearly visible. It states that a monk named Nanda had renovated the Kirivihara. This slab inscription found in the terrace was broken in 4. But the inscription states that King Mahadatika Mahanaga has reconstructed Magul Mahasaya and then offered it to the triple gem after having observed many pujas. This inscription indicates the gift of lands and paddy fields for the maintenance of the Mahastupa of Khatragama. This also was found in the premises. Sella Khatragama is situated on the north bank of the Manikganga, which was a village covered with dense jungle up until recently. The course of the Manikganga divides into 2 at this place, creating a sort of an island. Here there are some ancient ruins and religious objects have been found on this island. To the east of this, on the other side of the river, there is a stone cave which is known as Valli Guhava. It is believed that Valliamma resided here. God Khatragama or Skanda arrived in Sri Lanka for the second time and had taken a beautiful Vedith damsel named Valli as his consort, and they were known to have resided here, according to legend. Vedith is situated about 4 kilometers away from Khatragama, but has no direct link with the Kataragama Devalaya. But devotees and pilgrims who come to Khatragama never fail to visit this place as well. It is said that there was a Devalaya constructed even before the Kataragama Devalaya at Vedith. However, there are no such remains now. We can see a number of ruins that are not very old. Legend has it that god Khatragama resided here for some time on the summit of this hill and placed his Velayuda here. The Velayuda now to be seen is no older than 100 years. A procession coming from this place joins the Asalaparara of the Mahadevalaya annually. Khatragama is one of 16 places of worship hallowed by Buddhists in Sri Lanka. It is one of the shrines for the Hindu, Muslim and Christian devotees who seek blessings. Accordingly, Khatragama is known as a sacred place for devotees of all the major religions in this world.